to come to yoga tonight? Hmm. Hi, welcome. My name is Juliana, and this is Living Now Yoga. I'm glad you're here. This is going to be an hour and 15-minute restorative yoga class. And however you're feeling, whatever's going on with you, you're welcome to just practice making yourself comfortable, practice the art of support for the next hour and 15 minutes. That being said, before we put ourselves into our first restorative yoga shape, we're going to take 30 seconds of silence together. In that time, I'll invite you to make yourself comfortable, whether you'll be seated on the floor, seated in a chair, whether you'll be lying on your back. Throughout the COVID pandemic, since I've been teaching at home, we take time before each of our restorative yoga classes, a bit of time in silence. At first, it was in honor of the essential workers, and of late, we have been using that moment of silence to honor someone for whom this period of social distancing would be in a special sacrifice or in a special challenge. And so, for tonight, I'd love to dedicate our 30 seconds of silence to elder populations who, depending on where they are living, what their housing situation, care situation might be, have been separated from their loved ones, have had what can sometimes be the loneliness of the elder years in our society exacerbated. And so, if you're willing, let's be together in silence for 30 seconds and send the love of your heart to anybody, whether they're elder population or other, who might be feeling lonely. And that was our moment of silence. If you close your eyes, you can allow them to blink open. So I want to introduce to you the props that we're going to use for this evening's practice. Of course, I have no way of knowing what you have in your home, but I'm going to suggest you grab some things that a lot of people might have in their home. If we were doing restorative yoga in a yoga studio, we would have very special types of pillows, special types of blankets, straps. But I'll invite you to grab stuff that you might indeed just have around your house. So, for starters, I want to invite you to have two blankets if that's possible. One thick comforter might stand in for two blankets. There will be times in tonight's class I might have us fold up a blanket for structure. We might use it under the head, but also at any point you could put a blanket underneath you as padding if you're feeling bony resting on the ground. If you feel chilled at all, you might cover yourself with a blanket. And for some who experience anxiety, it can be really grounding to take the weight of a folded blanket, but it could be a heavier pillow or towel. And when you're lying down, place it on your belly or on your pelvis. So there might be times I offer that in particular, but at any point that it would feel sweet to you, put a blanket under you, over you for warmth, or maybe folded for weight on your belly. So two blankets if possible. I also am going to invite you to have two towels. And in many instances, towels can stand in for blankets, blankets can stand in for towels. It really is just soft, foldable stuff. But if possible, grab 2 towels, 2 bath towels. And if you have lots of towels and not many blankets, grab more towels, vice versa. I've got 3 pillows here, 3 cushions, and you are welcome to use pillows from your couch, cushions, or pillows from your bed. And if you are not having a lot of pillows in your house, honestly, fluffy bedroom slippers could be used, really anything that's kind of 3-dimensional. Big woolly mittens if you haven't tucked them away somewhere at this point of the year, just kind of padding. And in many cases, again, pillows can stand in for towels and vice versa. If possible, 3 cushions, 2 towels, 2 blankets. Optional will be an eye pillow. Eye pillow is optional. And if you have one, you might choose to place it over your eyes. You could make one, putting lentils in a little Ziploc baggie and wrap it in some cloth. But even if it's not a full-on eye pillow, you always could take just a scarf of some kind, even a light t-shirt, and lay it over your eyes. The darkness that can create has a deepening effect on the calming of the nervous system. Okay, so far it's all soft, squishy stuff. Pillows, towels, blankets, maybe an eye pillow or an eye covering. But the final prop that I'm going to invite us to have for this evening will be a wall. If there are no walls that are available in your apartment, some people might have the back of a couch that is available, or typically there's space in front of the fridge. We're going to do legs up the wall pose. If you're not familiar with it, I'll show it to you in just a moment. So that's actually the pose that we are going to begin in. We'll begin in legs up the wall pose. I'm going to show to you more than one way that you might come into legs up the wall pose. And I am going to show you a couple of arm variations. So I'm going to take one of my pillows and just put it off to the side. I'm going to have 2 pillows at the ready. One's going to be a little to one side, one's going to be a little to the other side. I'm going to have my eye pillow at the ready. I probably won't use my towels for this. And some of you might use a single blanket. And if the way that I fold the blanket you think would actually be easier with your towel, you could go ahead and use your towel instead. So I'm going to take my blanket and I'm going to fold it so that it is long and slender. Kind of fat from the earth, but not too fat. It's not much thicker than my hand. And this is going to go under the back of my pelvis. And that's just an optional way of doing it. Let me show you me coming into legs up the wall with this under my pelvis. And then I'm going to show it to you without this under my pelvis. But for those of you who are at home who have a legs up the wall practice, you know how you like to set yourself up, go ahead and set yourself up however you like to set yourself up. So insofar as putting the slender folded blanket or towel under my pelvis, I have a good amount of space between the blanket and the wall. A good amount of space. I'm going to come and sit on it so that one butt cheek is on it and one butt cheek is off of it or thereabouts. The butt cheek that's off of it is close to the wall. And then I'm going to simultaneously walk my feet up the wall as I climb my hands away from the wall. That will look like that. My heels are against the wall. It's optional to take a towel or a blanket over your feet to warm the feet and as padding at the back of the heels. If when you get here you don't like the feeling of the blanket under the pelvis, you could move it out of the way. Some of you might enjoy letting the arms drop into cactus. Elbows down, back of hands, maybe on pillows, maybe on the earth. And finally, oh, eye pillow so far away. You might grab your eye pillow or eye covering if you're going to work with eye pillow or eye covering and cover your eyes. Now, as I mentioned at the start of class, you're welcome at any point to put a blanket or a towel underneath you so your spine or your sacrum feels uncomfortable and you just want a smooth, cushioned surface. Take a moment to please create that for yourself. If you feel at all chilled, or you just think that the added weight of a blanket on your belly or front of pelvis would be sweet, go ahead and organize that for yourself. I showed the arms dropping back in cactus, but they could reach out to the side, palms up. They could sweep down a little closer to your torso. If you would find it grounding to rest your hands on your belly, elbows on the earth, you're welcome to do so. Although I want to encourage you, if you take that action, to not interlace the fingers. Let the fingers rest here. Let the fingers rest. Let the hands rest. Let the toes rest. Let the feet rest. Ankles and wrists. Arms and legs. Pelvis and waist. Rib cage and neck. Face and head. If the legs extended up the wall feels extreme for the back of your legs, you could always come out of the pose and put the back of your legs up over a couch or up over a chair. If you're new to restorative yoga, you might wonder what you're supposed to be doing. While you're in the pose. We're practicing resting. We're practicing what's called waking rest. So maybe you'll notice the mind or the body. Maybe you'll drift into a resting state of ease. feet start to fall asleep, you're not alone in that experience. You could wiggle the toes or step your feet to the wall, knees bent to the chest. And at any point, you can always come out of a pose. You could skip a pose. Please give your mind permission to be simple in this moment. And direct the attention of this simple mind towards your legs. Let's rearrange the legs into a diamond shape, which is to say, bend the knees, left knee opens to the left, right knee opens to the right. The soles of your feet come together. Pinky toe side of your foot rests towards the wall. Now the left knee doesn't have to go straight to the left. It probably won't. Right one doesn't have to go straight to the right. But there is a diamond-ish shape between feet and knees, knees and pelvis. You might keep your arms as they are as you take a few breaths with the legs in this diamond shape. Some call it butterfly. But maybe, just maybe, you cross your right arm over your left arm, giving your chest a hug. And if so, you might rock the chest a little bit towards the left side so that you can creep your fingers further behind the right side, and then rock the other side, do the same. And rest back, broadening the upper back as you breathe here. I'll call this the upper chest hug, and you could stay in the upper chest hug, or for anybody who knows eagle arms, you might wind into eagle for just 2 breaths. And then in tandem with a fluid exhale, allow the arms to unwind and just rest alongside you. Let's do the other side. Left arm over right. fingers to desire to climb back behind the back of the chest. You might find that rocking side to side aids in that action. Guiding the breath into the space in between your shoulder blades. And as with before, you could keep the arms there, or you could wind the arms into what some of you might recognize or know as eagle arms. And then in any case, release the arms, allow them to melt down alongside you. Reaching your hands towards your thighs, let your hands touch your outer thighs and use the hands to bring the inner knees towards each other so the soles of your feet will be against the wall. And take a moment to aid yourself in rolling to one side or the other. You might stay lying on your side for a breath or two, but if you feel squished against the wall, you could wriggle away from the wall a little. Maybe you use a nearby prop as a pillow for under your ear. A breath. And in your readiness, press your top hand into the earth in front of your chest, and coming up in a slow, steady fashion, let the face, neck, and head be the very last thing that comes up. And we're going to move right away into supported bridge pose. And for anybody who's practicing at home who has yoga blocks, if you prefer yoga blocks, you're welcome to use your yoga blocks to set up supported bridge in the way that maybe you know it. Some of you may also have gotten used to practicing with books under the back of the sacrum during this time or any other time. So you could do that as well. But I'm going to demonstrate supported bridge pose with 2 folded towels. So for our next pose, we'll use 2 folded towels, though folded blankets could serve in the same way, and possibly an eye pillow if you're working with one. So I'm going to clear these pillows off of my practice area. I'm going to clear this blanket off of my practice area. And I'm going to reach for these 2 mindfully folded towels that end up in a rectangle, one stacked on top of the other. If you're taking a moment to fold your towels now, you put the smaller one on top if they're different sizes. But I could just as easily be demonstrating this with 2 blankets, or depending on what props you have at home, it could really be a towel on top of a blanket. I'm going to come and lie on my back. Back of neck is long. Shoulders gently walked away from the ears, and my feet on the ground pretty close to my bum, knees pointing towards the ceiling. I'm going to rise my hips up, and I'm going to take these towels and I'm going to let them slide under the back of my bum. And I'm going to release the weight of the pelvis. Any slight adjustments in neck or shoulders. Grab my eye pillow. Because I have an eye pillow that has some weight to it, I really use it as a forehead and eye pillow. And it ends up really, most of its weight is on the forehead for me. Very little of it is on the eye, and it's more the upper eye than lower eye. From there, you could play with whatever symmetrical position of arms feels sweet to you. Sometimes when I'm in this pose, I like to knock my knees in, turning toes in, heels out, feet wider than knees. And sometimes I like my knees and feet the same distance apart, approximately maybe a 2 fist space between your knees and ankles. Our two opening poses, legs up the wall and supported bridge, are believed to be very soothing to our nervous system, supportive to our immune system. We'll rest here together in silence. You might observe the coming and the going of your breath. If possible, invite the rhythm of the breath to be smooth, to be steady. And if your arms are dropped back along your ears or opened out to the side, sweep them in closer to the body, rooting down into the soles of your feet and into the top of your arms, into your shoulder heads. Allow the pelvis to rise up and slide your two towels or blankets out from under the pelvis, and then lower the pelvis down. Taking one of the towels now, bring it and place it behind the back of your skull. And when it gets there, if it feels like it's too thick, you could unroll it one layer. If it feels not thick enough, fold it up another layer. The other towel can just be nearby for the moment. And then hug your bent left knee in towards your chest. And if it's a comfortable reach for your body, reach for the front of the shin or the back of the thigh. If hands don't comfortably cross over the front of the shins or the back of the thigh, you could grab a nearby prop or even a sweatshirt, something fabric-y, that can help you to wrap the towel or a sweatshirt around your bent leg and hug the leg in that way. Give your leg a little jiggle here. Tiny little movements. And then with your mind, identify your outer left ankle. Outer left ankle. And with your mind, identify the front of your right thigh near your knee. Front of your right thigh near your knee. Cross your outer left ankle over the right thigh near the knee so that your left knee is opening toward the left side relatively. So that you see your inner left shin facing you. And you might stay just as you are with your right foot on the ground, or maybe you lift your right foot and draw that bent right leg in closer to your torso. If so, arms could stay at rest, or you could reach for your far away leg, hugging be it the back of the thigh, the front of the shin. And once again, if it's not an ease-filled, comfortable reach, your arms to reach your leg, your far away leg, your right leg, you could incorporate a sweatshirt or a towel or something else that helps you to hug the leg in. One more breath here, if that's working for you. And then, and in your readiness, right foot will lower if it was lifted. Left foot brings the sole of foot to the earth. And let's just do the other side. Right knee in, give it a hug. If you're wrapping your hands around your own leg, can you switch the interlace? Switch which arm or which hand is on top. As you jiggle your leg in soft ways, allow your spine permission to lengthen as it rests on the earth. And as we did on the first side, allow mind to observe outer right ankle. Invite mind to observe left thigh near knee. Releasing your hands, bring outer right ankle to left thigh at knee. Right knee opens towards the right. But it doesn't have to be all the way to the right, your body's comfort. You could keep your left foot to the ground, or maybe you fold left leg in. Maybe arms reach for that far away leg, or a fabric prop that's helping you reach your leg, maybe. And then in your own rhythm, if you are holding the leg, release the hand, release the left foot, release the right foot. We're going to come into a twist lying on our back. I'll invite you to keep some padding behind the back of the skull. And if I were with you, I'd probably have opinions about what's too much padding and what's not enough. For the moment, just tuning into your body's wisdom, and I would in fact want you to do that, even if I was there with opinions about the right amount of height behind the back of the head. We're going to come into a twist, and different bodies will need more or less padding between the knees or under your bottom knee, maybe even under one of your arms. So I'm going to start a little simply with just the one towel or blanket that was under your pelvis a moment ago, that's off to the side. And go ahead and put it between your two knees. In between your two knees, more between the shins. Leave your head where it is, leave your shoulders where they are, leave your feet where they are. But scoot your bum, just your bum, let it hop a little over to the left. And then pick up your feet, left shoulder stays to the ground as you drop your knees to the right. So it's a twist. If, in dropping the knees to the right, you realize you want a pillow under your right knee, go ahead. If, in dropping the knees to the right, you realize you want more pillows, towels, blankets in between your two knees, go ahead. You might swing the two thighs a little closer to your belly, as though your kneecaps are pointing directly out from your navel. But though the weight of the legs is rolling to the right, let the chest, the front of the chest, turn a little to the left. Left arm might open straight to the side. Left arm might drop back along your ear. And if the forearm and hand doesn't rest easily to the ground, please put a prop, a blanket, a pillow, something else under the back of your left hand and forearm. Right hand, lots of options. Right arm could mirror left arm. Right hand could rest on your belly, right elbow to the ground. Right hand could kind of gently hook the fingertips where the left thigh meets the knee. And then that right arm's weight just hangs there a little, but doing as little as possible. And finally, your neck. Your nose could stay halfway between your two armpits, staying in the midline. You could gently turn toward your left temple, toward your left ear. Or what I actually really love in a twist is to anchor, in this case, left shoulder down, but turn my nose to the right and bow my nose just a little to the right armpit. I like the stretch I get in the left side of my neck when my left shoulder is anchored, but I turn my nose to the right. Depending on how you are positioning your head and neck, you could still perhaps put an eye pillow over your eyes, or if you rolled towards one ear or the other, You could put an eye pillow maybe over the temple that's facing the ceiling. That's enough just to rest here. That means you're enough just resting here. If your head is turned to the left or the right, take a thoughtful moment to bring the skull back into the center. And if your arms are out to the side or dropped back along your ears, bring them in a little closer to the torso. Palms down. With a little firmness in the belly, take a moment to pivot your kneecaps to the ceiling. Soles of feet come to the earth. And then adjust the hips back into the center so there's a felt line of energy from your feet through the pelvic floor, through the spine, throat, and skull. And then leaving feet, head, arms, shoulders where they are, pop your pelvis a little over to the right. And once the pelvis is as though slightly cockeyed off to the right, leaving your right shoulder heavy, lift your feet and allow your knees to drop over to the left. It might feel very different than the first side. Feel free to take a moment to put padding underneath your bottom knee. I'm just breathing with you as the sound of Om comes to me in the form of a honking car. You might add extra padding between your knees. And perhaps you swing your knees a little closer to your belly. And take a moment, as we did on the first side, to organize the arms thoughtfully. Rolling the front of the chest a little to the right, energetically. Right arm out to the side, palm up, along the ear. Maybe patting behind the right hand, if you wish, behind the right shoulder. Left hand mirroring right, maybe, on your abdomen with elbow on earth. Or gently anchoring down your top knee and the outer thigh near the knee. Maybe you've already positioned your neck, or maybe you do so now. The neck never moves in grace when the jaw is clenched. Thinking of the size of a raisin, a little dried grape, a raisin. Decide that you want a raisin's worth of space between your back bottom teeth and your back top teeth. You might even open the mouth for a moment as though someone is spoon feeding you something you love, to see what it feels like to drop the jaw. And then maybe take the tip of your tongue between back bottom and back top teeth on one side and the other. And as you rest here, gently, if you wish, maintain that space. if your head is turned to one side or the other, come back to neutral. Allow the arms to be somewhat close to the torso, palms down. A moment, please, to turn your knees up, feet to the earth. And reach a hand to remove the padding between your knees. You can just put it off to the side as you shift your hips back into the center. Yogi's choice, and just for a few breaths here, you might knock your knees in, feet wide, toes in, heels out. You might hug your legs in, making a small ball out of your body. Yet some of you might really enjoy letting the legs slide long on the earth, letting the back of the knees open. And then if you did lengthen the knees, turn your toes and kneecaps to the ceiling. Hold your low back and pelvis steady to the earth as you re-step one foot in. The sole of one foot at a time comes to the ground. If you're hugging your legs, same, feet to earth, knees towards sky. And then in a soft way, roll onto your side. And for the second time in today's class, take a moment resting here, if that feels okay. And then allow your top hand to root into the earth in front of the chest. Before you come up the nose, the belly button turns a little bit more to the earth. And then pushing the earth away, slowly coming up. And we're going to move into our final pose this evening. And you might end up using all of your props for the final pose. We're going to see. First, take one of your blankets, and unless you're already on a ton of padding, maybe you're on a mat that's on a really thick carpet, in which case you could ignore this step. But if you're not already on a lot of padding, I'm going to ask you to take a blanket and cover your practice area with the blanket. And although I have two mats side by side here, if it was just a single mat, I would typically fold my blanket over once so that my blanket is long the same way that my mat is long. That may or may not make sense depending on the thickness of your blanket and the practice area you're working with. But if indeed you're putting a blanket down, smooth out any lumps, smooth out any bumps. And I have now made a blanket area that's long from the top of my mat to the bottom of my mat. And I actually want to use the other blanket if you're working with two blankets and do rather the same thing. I want a long fold. So you might open up your blanket and fold one of your long edges towards the other long edge and smooth it out. The second one, you may not end up using if the room you're in is especially hot, if you're perimenopausal, or maybe doing some form of hormone treatments and get hot flashes. You may not end up using this second one in the way that I'll show you. The bottom one is definitely for padding. The other one can just be nearby. And it's going to be nearby facing your back side because our next pose is going to be a sideline pose. For sideline pose, if you think quieting the nervous system is your top priority, maybe lie to your right. And if supporting digestion is your top priority, maybe lie to your left. But you're really just also welcome to pick whichever side would feel most comfortable. For sideline pose, you definitely don't want glasses on. In fact, for any restorative pose. So you might watch me set it up first and then take them off before you come into the pose. You wouldn't want big earrings either. All right. So I am going to set up a pillow for under my head. And when we lie on our side, we need more pillow height than when we lie on our back because of the side of our shoulders. So I'm maybe going to use this much pillow under my head. I'm going to see. I want some padding between my knees, and especially if you have a pelvis that was a pelvis born of the female sex that went through hormonal maturity, you'll need a little more padding between the knees, a little more padding. So I like that better than just that. With just this blue and white pillow, my top knee is dropping lower than the side of my hip. But I'm actually going to take a moment and be a little fussy, change how these are folded a little bit so that I get even more thickness between my legs. And other things I'll regret saying later. So I'm just folding up my towel so they'll be a little thicker. There's going to be some support between the knees, between the shins, and there's going to be a pillow under my top arm. And if you're realizing at this point you'd want to grab additional pillows if there's any, additional towels, you're very welcome to do so. So I'll lie on my side and put this padding in between my knees and shin. My bottom arm, I want to make sure the shoulder is out of the ear. You don't want your bottom shoulder to act as extra pillow. It's out of the ear and it's forward. That's to say, I'm resting on the back of my armpit, not the side of my arm bone. And when you rest on the back of the armpit, that doesn't mean rolling towards the back. I'm still very much on my side. I'm going to have my pillow for my top arm at the ready to act as a snuggle buddy. But before I do that, I'm going to reach behind me for the long, slender blanket. And it's not quite exactly a blanket for warmth. It's more of an energy container. I'm going to put some of it over the side of my hip, most of it behind my back body. And I'm going to make kind of like a little taco wrap around the side of my head. Probably don't want it dropping onto the skin of the face because the skin of the face is sensitive. It just really contains the energy. From there, you have to play a little bit with it to get it so that you're content with how the blanket, which rests on the hip and rests on the shoulder, wraps over the side of the face, over the crown of the head. Your eye pillow could go in your bottom hand. Your eye pillow could go over the side of the face. You could forego the eye pillow. If you've wrapped the back body blanket or the energy containment wrap and you're loving it, stay. If you tried it and it feels hot, it feels scratchy or tickly, let it go. If you're content laying upon your side, you might stay for the next minute. If anybody would want to roll onto the back and come into a neutral, long, open front body shape, you're welcome to roll onto your back. But in any case, freshly invite the mind to be simple. Sensual intelligence, the intelligence that feels the fabric of your shirt against your belly as you breathe. As you be in relation to your sensual intelligence, see if you can smooth out and lengthen the exhale just a little. And then please decide that you'll watch and count 5 of your breaths. Long, smooth exhales. When you're done with that 5th breath, keep breathing. But also find your own slowest, sweetest way to come to sit. And you might sit with your back at the wall. You might prefer to sit in a chair. You might choose not to sit. And to sit. Bring one open hand on the upper belly and one open hand on the low belly. The eyes might be closed if that feels safe and okay. And just for anybody who feels called to do so, please join me on an inhale for Om. Inhale, the face rises, or rather, the heart rises. Exhaling, the face bows. Breathing, looking within your own heart. Take a moment here. Simply thank yourself for making time to practice yoga, to practice waking rest, and for being you. And from my heart to yours, and with all of my heart, I thank you for those things too. Namaste. You might Bow over your lap, touching the earth, sealing this practice. And when you're done, you're done. Those of you joining me on Facebook Live, thank you so much. This is one of my 2 remaining restorative yoga classes for the summer. I'm going to continue teaching restorative every Tuesday, Thursday evening through the end of June, which is coming up. So that's to say you can find me here again next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I'll take July and August off from restorative yoga teaching. I'll be back in September is my plan. My morning meditations will continue. So if you'd like to join me there, it would be sweet to see you there. Oh, Sabrina, bless you. What a treat. I'm so glad you came to join. My heart to you. Those of you who are with me in the Zoom womb room, my favorite new name for it. And by those, that would be you, Tina. Hi, love. You look nicely relaxed. Don't speak. I hope to see you soon. Bye.